National Ice Rink in Cardiff for an all-British world title fight featuring the Welsh champion Steve Robinson and his challenger from London, Colin McMillan. Good evening to you all. Steve Robinson, the WBO World Featherweight champion, is something of a Cinderella man. He got a very late call to fight for the world title back in the spring, and he surprised us all by winning it. But tonight comes his toughest task against Colin McMillan, the former world champion. McMillan, so skillful, but he's having his first fight for over a year. And I can tell you that boxing opinion here in Cardiff and elsewhere is split right down the middle on this one. Barry McGuigan, former world champion, of course, where do you stand?
Well, I think this is all the ingredients to make it one of the fights of the year. Robinson was brilliant when he won the title against Davidson, and his first defence against Murphy was equally as good. But those were against attacking fighters, whereas against McMillan he's going to have to go forward. And I happen to think he doesn't do that too well. So that's a scenario he has to get over, and I think that could make the difference in this fight.
In some ways, you're a bit similar to McMillan. You took time out and you had to come back. What are the big problems when you do that?
Well, McMillan is different than most fighters. He's very fast and very accurate, so I don't think that will cause problems for him at all. I think the problems that he's going to have to overcome is this partisan crowd, and the fact is his shoulder completely recovered? If it's not, he's not going to win here tonight. And if it is, and I think it is, I think he can run away with a points decision against Robinson. I think he's a class above Robinson, with all due respect to Steve Robinson.
Good, Barry, thank you very much indeed. Well, of course, every fighter yearns for perfection. And when Colin McMillan beat a tough Italian called Maurizio Stecca to win the world title, well, he was just about faultless. His skill, his style, and his hand speed had us all drooling.
McMillan is the WBO 9-stone champion. He's silenced the doubters and seems on his way to large purses. Sweet C is set to be a big boxing star. His first defence is against a rugged Colombian, Ruben Palacio. McMillan's craft is crushed. He can't keep the challenger away and dislocates his shoulder in a freakish accident in the 8th. Despite protests from the McMillan camp, his title has gone. Surgery saves his career. Palacio's triumph is a major upset, but he'll never fight again. The Colombian tests HIV positive days before his first defence against the northeasterner John Davison. Steve Robinson is Davison's new opponent for the now vacant title. He's an unemployed storeman and takes the fight with just 48 hours' notice. But Robinson seizes his unexpected chance as Davison fails to get his act together in front of his home crowd. Steve Robinson was earning around £50 a week in a warehouse at the start of the year. He'd learned his boxing craft the hard way, in other people's backyards. All of a sudden, he's the first Welsh world champion for 25 years. In his only defence so far, Robinson is far too strong and confident for the aggressive British champion Sean Murphy from St Albans. Murphy knocked over in the 9th here at the National Ice Rink. The transformation from a tough pro going nowhere fast to a genuine world champion is complete. Forget £50 a week. Robinson's getting over £200,000 for his work tonight. Finally, McMillan is fit once again and intent on reclaiming his property.
It's going to be hard to come back and fight for a world title fight after a year of absence. I know it's going to be tough, but I know I can do it, and I'm looking forward to the fight.
I know it's going to be a hard fight, and we got our plans. We worked on McMillan over a year now, and I'm very confident I can beat him.
It's got all the makings, this one. It could well be one of the best fights of the year. Down in the dressing rooms below me, both fighters are completing their preparations. Steve Robinson warming up in the Cardiff Devils dressing room. He'll get a great reception coming out as the Welsh champion. And Colin McMillan, is he 100%? What effect will that layoff have? Find out in a couple of minutes' time. And welcome back to the National Ice Rink in the centre of Cardiff. We await the arrival of the challenger, Colin McMillan. And this will be some test for McMillan. Sweet C, he's never had to cope with an environment like this. We've had the Welsh national anthem. There's a very vociferous and patriotic crowd awaiting the 27-year-old former world champion, who accepts this is going to be the hardest fight of his career. I reckon he'll have a few misgivings about trying to win the title back in the champion's backyard. He's an uneasy favourite, I think, with the bookmakers. But when he's on song, he's a purist dream as we wait for Colin McMillan to battle his way through that crowd there. A real boxing artist. There's big Howard Rainey. And somewhere, McMillan's trainer. And a hostile reception, as you might expect. Colin McMillan just beeping through the crowd. This, but very shortly all those questions about his shoulder injury and its effect will be answered. He's a wonderful fighter when he's on song. The challenger from East London, articulate, nice fella, Sweet C, Colin McMillan, saying he's had time to reflect on his year off and it's made him even hungrier to succeed. He's got to regain his title the hard way. And now we await the first Welsh World Championships. Howard Winston, Steve Robinson. Well, a wonderful reception. Tall featherweight Steve Robinson, and he will be desperate to succeed in front of his own people. Your big fight commentators, as always, will be Reg Guttridge and Jim Watt. But first of all, let's hear from your MC, Mike Goodall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event of the evening from the Ice Rink, Cardiff. Tonight's officials appointed by the WBO for this contest are the supervisor in charge, Mr. Mark Schechner from Miami. The British Boxing Board of Control steward is Lord Brooks of Tremorfa. The judges appointed by the WBO, Mr. Jean Glenn of the USA, Mr. Torben Hansen of Belgium, and Mr. Roy Francis of London. The referee in charge of the action this evening, officiating in his 10th world title contest, is Mr. Paul Thomas of Derby. The timekeeper, Mr. Gordon Pape, and the matchmaker, Mr. Ernie Fossey. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday night is Big Fight Night, live on ITV. Tonight we are sponsored by Cardiff Marketing, promoted by Frank Warren for Sports Network in association with Eastwood Promotions and Dragon Boxing. This contest is of 12 3-minute rounds to decide the WBO Featherweight Championship of the world. Between, in the blue corner, wearing green and gold, coming from Barking, East London, he has a professional record which reads 25 contests, 23 wins, 10 coming by way of KO, and just 2 losses. Ranked the #1 challenger for the title, the former undefeated British and Commonwealth featherweight champion, the former WBO featherweight champion of the world, Colin McMillan. And in the red corner, wearing the red shorts, coming from Cardiff, a professional record, from 25 contests, 15 wins, 8 by way of KO, 9 losses and 1 draw. Tonight, making his second defence of the title, the former undefeated Featherweight champion of Wales, the former undefeated Pentacontinental Featherweight champion, and the current WBO Featherweight champion of the world, Steve Robinson. At today's weigh-in, McMillan scaled 8 stone, 13 1/4 pounds, Robinson 8 stone, 13 1/2 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, the WBO Featherweight Championship of the world.
Well, all the trimmings are over now, and certainly Jim Watt and I are looking forward to this. It has the makings of a real, well, smart contest, some good boxing expected, both good exponents of the game. They've got reachable jaws, but both of them proved not vulnerable, haven't been stopped. Count for a lot in this one. It looks as though it to be set for a long distance fight, and let's hope there's, barring injuries of course. But it goes that way. Roy Francis from London, Torben Hansen from Denmark, not Belgium as announced, and Jean Glenn of Cleveland, the first time he's been in this country. Here's Paul Thomas. Well, there it is, Jim, and it's going to be very much a catch-as-catch-can job, this, isn't it? Wily enough, really, to be a couple of ring pickpockets, these, the way they can shoot their punches out. McMillan in this, well, very flashy skirt almost there, isn't it? Oh, well, that's the way the modern boxer is. I'm not going to tell him about it. But Robinson really has come from sort of the journeyman pro to make the Rocky style really into reality. Really is amazing in this game, you know. It's where the abolitionists don't understand that the man who was getting 50-odd quid a week as a local departmental store worker is now really getting it to the big time. Where else could he get it? I wonder how many rounds we've got to go, Jim, to see if there are any doubts about McMillan, meaning the shoulder injury. I mean, he's had very good treatment on it, but a year out, maybe a little bit of ring rust there.
No, I wouldn't expect anything to be wrong with the shoulder, Reg. I'm sure everything's been done in training to test it out, make sure it's okay. He hasn't had a warm-up fight, straight in for the title. I expect Robinson, he can't match McMillan for speed or reflexes, so I expect him to have a tight defence all the way through and just try to get his feet as close to McMillan as he can and let punches go in bunches. There's no use trying to trade at long range, you won't reach him. He's going to have to get his feet close and let the punches go in 3s and 4s.
Well, he's doing a very smart hit and hop it style at the moment there, McMillan. He's a patient fighter, though, Steve Robinson. He proved that with John Davis, an entirely different type of opponent, of course.
Robinson has started fairly slowly in both of his previous world title fights. I don't expect he'll do that tonight, and in fact he's marching forward right from the off here.
He has that combination of being a sort of box fighter, really, Robinson. I'd mark him down more as a boxer than a fighter, Jim. What do you think?
Yeah, well, he's certainly not a crude slugger, Reggie. He's very good at pacing. In his 2 successful world title fights, he's paced both of the fights perfectly, especially against Sean Murphy. He just seems to be getting warmed up, and here he's really started very positively. He'll have to stay on top of McMillan. You can't allow him to dictate the action.
Well, he's stealing this round all right, McMillan, simply because Robinson hasn't landed a decent punch, really.
Well, he's not really getting through cleanly, Reggie. Robinson's catching most of it, but he's throwing more punches, but they're not really getting through cleanly. Robinson's catching most of it in his gloves. Not an awful lot in the first round here.
In a imagine what's driving Robinson on there, the almost poverty to plenty. What a way to get it in the ring. Look, he looked a bit pleased with himself there, McMillan, I think, saying, well, that's the pattern on setting, now he's got to catch me if he can. And there are the cornermen. Howard Rainey from Sheffield, boxing the ABA Championships at Featherweight many years ago. And he's got time to talk. Well, he's secretary of the newly formed Professional Boxers Association, so he can rabbit a bit, can't he, young Colin? I don't want to argue too much with him. 7 O's and 3 A levels. And in the champions corner, well, Di Gardner, very well known, of course. Ronnie Rush on the outside there, former pro boxer. And what a reception this fellow got. I mean, does that lift the fighter? Second round. So now, as McMillan set his stall out, but that's what he's got to do. Hit, hop it, on his toes, pick punches. Or can Robinson catch up with him?
So you can see Robinson, he's keeping that chin tucked down very low. When he tries out with a jab, as soon as he's done so, he gets that chin down even tighter. He's thinking about defence. He realises it's going to take him a few rounds to get close to this fella.
Both good defensive fighters. I think they don't consider a bruised countenance any special badge of honour, these two.
Robinson very quick with his counters, Reg. He's looking very sharp.
And he looks a bit patient too, doesn't he, Jimmy? A bit like the hunter trying to set his sights before he can go for it.
See, we have to remember, Reg, McMillan's last performance, he was losing to a fellow, Palacio, who really wasn't rated as a top-class fighter. So, I mean, still, although wonderful moves and plenty of skill, he's still a couple of questions have to be answered about McMillan. I mean, that was a very poor performance.
Minute to go in the second round. Never quite made it actually in the amateur ranks, Colin McMillan. He was very much a nearly man. He always looked a sparkler, although he claims that his style never suited the amateur judges.
Yeah, I think everything McMillan's doing in the first couple of rounds is out of range. He's flitting around, but normally he steps in when he's going to throw punches, but he's been flicking at long range.
And he's turned southpaw.
We haven't really seen what you could call quality punches coming from him as yet, not in the first 2 rounds. Yeah, and very quick to grab hold of Robinson then, Reg. McMillan was very quick to grab hold.
Third round, and of course scheduled for 12 World Championship fights, WBO version. A little bit of trouble with footage in a couple of supporting fights here, just slipping on that logo there for the sponsors, the Cardiff marketing. Very appropriate, isn't it, for their first world champion for 25 years. And Howard Winstone, also a featherweight, is in the audience, among several other champions here tonight. Packed audience at the National Ice Rink. Tremendous atmosphere. Scorecard so far then with Barry McGuigan. So it's got McMillan just that point ahead. Very subjective, I'm always saying that, boxing scoring actually, so you can judge for yourselves at home as well. And I'm sure Jim White and I will take our views as well. So between us we might even come up with the right result. I remember him going southpaw quite as much as this, McMillan.
No, he does switch regular, Reg, but doesn't usually stay southpaw for so long. Robinson just taking too long to get the punches off here. These little flicks of McMillan's, I mean, they're not quality punches, but they're better than what Robinson's doing. Robinson has to find a way to put him under more pressure, get his feet up a little bit closer to McMillan.
Turning out to be a bit of a Houdini so far, but there's a long way to go. See, that move, strange enough, Jim, that was what actually caused McMillan's dislocated shoulder when Palacio got his head underneath his arm. But he did it there to Robinson. Can you imagine what would happen if Robinson had a dislocation? Oh dear. I mean, that is a running job, that one, isn't it?
Well, this is what Robin has to do, put him under more pressure.
Yeah, but he's ducking below the belt there, and the referee quite rightly telling him, Paul Thomas. 10th world title fight, comes out of Derby, the referee.
See, when you're in with someone as slick as McMillan, sometimes you have to do some crude things just to get him pinned down. Robinson did it there and it worked a little bit for him. So he's going to have to maybe have a slightly more crude approach and just really go for the fellow. See, this is working for him. This is working.
Rough him up. Rider in the corner above it. Absolute gin nail. Cut the atmosphere with a knife here, Jim. Right above the commentary position. We might get McMillan in our laps if this keeps up. Well, they just about heard the bell, but Robinson stole the punch anyway. Well, the crowd really got behind this fellow there, didn't they? I had a word with Barry McGuigan.
Well, Barry, you've scored it even at the moment, but do you think that McMillan has got the class tonight to hold off the strength of Robinson?
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job of it at the moment. Robinson doesn't like having to come forward. He's sitting there waiting on McMillan. If he's sitting there, he's going to sit all night. McMillan's going to move around him and outbox him. He's got to go to him. At this stage, the fight's even. McMillan's very fresh, and it seems like he's saving it for the later rounds.
Do you think that his extra bit of class that he's shown in the past is going to be the difference?
I think it could be the difference. He's certainly outspeeding Robinson, and that's the way it's going at the moment. I think McMillan will start edging ahead.
Round 4 then. This crowd, Jim's really going to drive Robinson on now. I mean, you had that in Scotland, didn't you, when you were fighting world champions? They get behind you. It's that extra strength that it gives you, inner strength, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're going to drag the best out of him. I mean, Robinson's never usually at his best the first 3 or 4 rounds of a fight. But just as he proved it at the end of the previous round, the crude approach maybe was going to work for him. He can't stand off with McMillan. McMillan will pick him off. He's got to just commit himself and head straight forward. Stick with the punches. Single punches are no good against McMillan. You won't pin him with single punches. You've got to force him into making mistakes, and that's what he did at the end of the 3rd round there.
Bit of an artist at getting away from punches, McMillan, but sometimes later in the fight, who knows, he might slow down a bit, but he's had plenty of 12-round experience. I'm amazed that McMillan's staying there, Jim.
Well, credit to Robinson, Reg. He's been following him. He forced him into that corner. Not getting home with clean shots, but he's the one doing all the work.
Yeah, I mean,
this is what he has to do.
Yeah, I know, Jim, but if McMillan thinks he's got to punch himself out doing that, Robinson, that's a mistake.
But this is better action. Most of what McMillan's been doing up to now has been a little bit out of range. This is better action. I think the crowd are going to enjoy this if it carries on.
McMillan going to stand his ground for a while now to try and do a bit of a macho job on him as well. Now he's decided if he's not going to prop himself up the ropes again, probably not in this round now. He just wanted to test that out, I think, McMillan. And the way he's flicking that left hand out, as you were saying, there doesn't seem anything wrong with the shoulder now. They've done a good job on that, good repair.
Robinson is still trying to pin him on the end of the left jab, and I don't think that's the right tactics. He has to head in where he is now and stay in there. Well,
I said he wouldn't, but he has. He's decided to prop himself on the ropes now. It's as though he's showing a bit of contempt there. Round 5.
I don't know if that's a little bit of work they did after the bell, but in each of the last 2 rounds, maybe just to help me calm things down. I don't know.
Well, there it is, unofficial, this course. Barry McGunn's making it level at this stage. I'm wondering how this American judge, his first visit here now, where you know, they're used to aggression all the time, and it counts for so much in American judging.
I'm actually just slightly kinder to McMillan. I think he's 1 round in front at the moment. Robinson's worked hard the last 20 seconds of the rounds, but he's taken too long to pin McMillan down here. I'm not saying I like the quality of McMillan's punches. The little flicks at the moment, but the knuckle part is landing.
Yes,
so just having 1 round in front.
Yeah, they got to count then, Jim, if they're landing.
Better from Robinson there, good solid left jab. You have to expect the longer the fight goes, the more it should suit Robinson once the pace slows.
Absorb a good punch. I know they're always on the move, these featherweights, and they're partly riding some of them.
Some people thought McMillan might be different class to Robinson, but certainly not that. It's a very even match, and Robinson getting that little bit closer again and getting a bit more success here.
But McMillan's still nicking them though, Jim, isn't he? You may say he's blocking them, but he's not throwing punches back enough at them.
Yeah, McMillan's throwing more punches, the little kind of flicking punches, but you have to score them, and if the knuckle part reaches the target, you have to score for it. A few promising signs for Robinson when he manages to pin McMillan down. But he's going to have to start earlier in the rounds, not the last 20 seconds.
Coming up for round 6, World Boxing Organisation version of the Featherweight Championship at the World 9 stone, 57 kilos, and just a quarter of a pound in it, if it matters, by Robinson. at that weight, you think they'd have trouble standing up in a 15-mile-an-hour wind with you. But these are two tough kids who take good punches. Well, not exactly kids, but they always seem it to me.
See McMillan deciding to stay southpaw for a little bit longer. See, he's pushing the punches out. You can't call them quality punches, Reg, so I suppose the judges are going to have to decide, are they going to score for McMillan's punches? I mean, they're just little flicks, little arm punches. He's not stepping in with them. But Robinson, he's not really landing anything at all.
Those were definite flicks through the right hand there, though. But on the other hand, you see Robinson's hitting air all the time. Well, not all the time, but a great deal, isn't he, Jim?
See, this is what he has to do, just march straight in. The way McMillan's moving around, he can't get power into the punches, so Robinson can afford to take chances, and this is what he gets on top. When he gets up close with McMillan, this is where he gets them off. McMillan doing nothing. Now this, the best action and the best punches, certainly of this round.
Yeah, I can't understand McMillan's reason for doing this, Jim. He's too smart to be standing there. It's as if to say to Robinson, you're not bothering me. And that could be fatal as the fight goes on. Admittedly, he doesn't appear to be hurting him too much. He's got the elbows well tucked in there, McMillan.
Robinson backing off, that's what he doesn't want to do.
Inviting Robinson to come at him there, McMillan. The crowd loving it here, going mad at the back of the ice rink.
Good stuff from Robinson, Reg. These two busts in this round have been the best action of this round, which will just sway Robinson's way. McMillan's been flicking in between times, little flicking punches. But Robinson, the good solid shot, certainly in this round.
Absolutely deafening. Let's have another word with Barry.
Barry, I can answer Reggie's query there about why Colin McMillan is staying on the ropes. This is a tactic. This comes from the McMillan camp. They tell me that they were expecting Robinson to try and win the fight by hitting him on the ropes. But McMillan is proving to Robinson, you can see it now, that this is not going to affect the fight. Now, is this crazy tactics or has McMillan got it right?
That's absolute nonsense, and if they think that that's going to work, they're absolutely wrong. You can't stay on the ropes and take a sustained barrage of punches like that, because in the late rounds that'll wear you out and take your legs away. He landed a couple of clean punches in that round, Robinson. He's got to get close to McMillan. Every time he gets close, he's got to let go with those punches. McMillan's got to throw more punches.
You've got the fight level.
Dead level at this stage.
7th round. So now, who's going to try and take over in the second half of the fight? If it's, there it is, he's got it level. The unofficial card there by Barry.
See, the problem we're having to face in scoring this one, Reg, is a lot of McMillan's stuff, they're just little touches. Just little touches with the glove. I mean, you can't really rate these as being quality World Championship punches. He's moving around just flicking. I certainly don't like it. At least when Robinson gets up close, he's letting the punches go. Good solid shots.
See, when he wants to, Jim, he slips away with absolute ease there, doesn't he, McMillan? That's why I'm a bit confused, honestly, why he's tried to do that. I think that's a foolish tactic. I agree with Barry McGuigan there. What about you?
Yeah, well, you've got to stay off the ropes. I mean, Robinson does his best work when he pins McMillan down. So obviously McMillan wants to stay on the move. I mean, look at the quality of the little flicks that McMillan's thrown here. If he would step in with these shots, land them cleanly.
So midway through the 7th. Getting a bit saucy there, McMillan trying to beat this fellow at the inside game. Tell you what, Jim, to be fair, is a year out. He's pretty sharp, isn't he?
Yeah, certainly moving around sharp, Reg, but I remember him putting more spite into his punches. There's no spite whatsoever in these punches McMillan's thrown.
Sean Murphy, who fought both of them, was stopped by Robinson and outpointed by McMillan. He fancied McMillan to win this. Almost came to a standstill there, doesn't it? Just trying to sort each other out, pinching a rest coming up for the end of the round. Diving in there, Paul Thomas. Risky did a bit. He could catch a little punch around the body as he did that there, but that's the proper way. Well, the crowd seem to be happy with their man's work here. He's suspecting maybe a wee bit frustrated. The old think tank in the corner there. He's been with these fellas right from the off. He's being chased in this replay now.
Robinson just not getting close enough, not just putting him under enough pressure. He managed at this time. McMillan actually had to run away. I mean, Reg, we don't want to see that in boxing, running round the ring to get away from punches. A couple of times Robinson's got close in that round. He got some decent punches off. But I suppose, again, the little flicks coming from McMillan, just stealing the round. I don't like the little flicks that he's throwing, but the knuckle part of the glove is landing.
Round 8. And, well, we reckon at the off, Jim, that this did look set for a 12-round already. Both, as I said before, take a good shot. Robinson has taken account. McMillan's never been down, but he got up. Robinson lost on points. That was against Tim Driscoll, a Londoner, back in '90.
Robinson has to show total commitment, Reg. Just march straight into McMillan and let the punches go. It's no use trying to box in behind a jab, that won't work. He just has to march straight in.
So McMillan keeps saying my chap is only on loan, but he is the challenger, and as they say, the challenger has to go in and take it, and don't look for any favours really on the scorecards. Scorecards handed by the judges to the supervisor, Mark Scheckler of Miami, after each round, collected by the referee. See, a lot of them landing on the gloves, as you say, Jim, but on the other hand, Robinson, you know, he's posing a bit more than producing.
Yeah, but he's not getting the punches off quick enough, but this is what he has to do. He mustn't let McMillan out of this corner now. Pin him there and keep him there. This is the only time Robinson has a chance to get some scoring punches off.
Oh, See, that was what McGuigan was on about there. You can't afford to take those whacks around the kidneys as the fight, the ribs, I should say, as the fight goes on.
Robinson should be sustaining the work here, Reg. He's not. He has to force these punches. Every time he pins this fella down, he has to let the punches go and keep them going.
See, but he's not hitting the target enough, is he? They're waving him on there. I think McMillan's a little bit too clever for that. So I'll come in when it suits me. He's trying to just make him lose his rag a little bit, but that's not McMillan's style. Well, it's good to see it in the centre of the ring, Jim.
This is good stuff now. Some more of this we could be doing with.
That looked a very short round to me, that one, Jim, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm trying
Let's
to
have a word with Frank Warren, the promoter.
Frank, you know the judges here. We've got one from England, one from America, and one from Denmark. Will they be scoring McMillan's flicks, do you think, or do you think they'll be giving it to Robinson?
I think at the moment Steve Robinson is in front. Colin's got to be show a bit more authority with his punches. But as the fight's going on now, his feet are getting a bit flatter. They're both slowing down a bit, and you're going to find they're going to be trading more, and the punches will be more telling now.
How do you think the judges will be scoring it?
I would think the American judge will probably be scoring it in Robinson's favour, and I think the British judges may just lean towards Colin because that's the style of British.
And the Danish judge?
Who knows with the Danish judge? You know, that's we've seen them cut some dodgy decisions in the past, but I think it'd be. Personally, I've got Steve in front.
9th round. Going to be a lot of arguments about this if it keeps up like this, Jim. It really is, on whether you're scoring these shots or not, whether you think Robinson is landing sufficient blows.
Robinson's certainly landing the more solid, cleanly delivered punches when he gets close, but he's not getting close often enough. He's going to have to see, he has to sustain. When he gets McMillan under this kind of pressure, he has to sustain it. Has to stay there, keep up close, get his feet right up close to McMillan. If he stands off, McMillan's picking him with the little taps.
Well, in danger of getting a few splinters in the backside there if he's not careful. Barry McGuigan has made him even. I just wish somebody would try and take over a bit now in the last part of the fight, Jim, so that we can really be satisfied to try and find a winner. It's a frilly performance from McMillan to go with the trunks. Just over midway through the 9th. Yeah, that's good stuff there, though, by Robinson. Simply because McMillan isn't doing anything. Oh, now he is. Must have heard me. Jim, I can't stand the thought of it. I hope we're not heading for another world title draw.
Hopefully not, Reg. I've got this round just nicking Robinson in front, Reg. See, at least he's keeping close with McMillan. In this round, he's not allowing it. Although, having said that, McMillan's not tried to back off in this round. He stood his ground. I wonder if his corner have decided to change tactics. But this should suit Robinson. He has to keep sustaining, just sustain these punches, keep them coming out.
Well, I tell you, when you got a couple of world champions, Jim Watt and Barry McGuigan, sort of wondering how they're going to score this, and you know how difficult it is for everybody, and especially for you watching at home, they're supposed to know the answers. But that's how close this fight is. It really is. It's how you view it, whether the judges are going to count all the punches of McMillan, whether they think Robinson has done enough work, and he's certainly hitting with the cleaner shots inside. Little nick there that Howard Rainey's having to take care of just around McMillan's eye. Only 2 defeats in his career, and one of those was to Alan McKay very early on in his career with a cut. So this fella gets the old wash and brush up treatment there, and looking a bit calm and collected. Still rides around in what he thought was an old banger, and it must have been, because it broke down on the way to the weigh-in ceremony today. Doesn't seem sort of cut that's going to need doctor's attention or the referee taking much notice of it. A little bit of coagulates in there. Round 10. Well, don't hold to Robinson. That's fearless by the referee in front of the very partisan crowd. Point in front there, according to Barry, the unofficial, of course, with we've got 3 judges to confuse us at the end of this. Referee doesn't vote, and I haven't bothered to say that the 3 knockdown rule, meaning one boxer going down 3 times in the same round, it's all over, because I think that would be unlikely, most unlikely. So it's all the here we go stuff now from the crowd who've made up their mind that the Welshman's ahead. I think, Jim, if these 2 could come up with something in the last 2 rounds, that will sway the decision.
It's very close, Reg. I've got Robinson slightly in front. I like his punching better. I've just been so many of McMillan's little flicking leads that I can't really look upon them as good quality punches, and I'm not scoring points for that. For that reason, I've got Robinson just 1 round in front.
Retreat there by McMillan.
See, the problem too, you don't see people winning world titles backing off for 12 rounds either.
Yeah, this is a better round now for Robinson.
Solid shots coming from Robinson.
Well, I've been saying we need a convincing finish by one of them, and it's going to be Robinson, I think.
Well, once again, the good solid shots have come from Robinson.
Oh, the referee really dived in. The crowd, look at that, they know who won that round all right, don't they? Don't have to be told. So here's Gary with Barry.
The question that needs to be asked now, Colin McMillan, 13 months out of the ring, should he have had a warm-up fight?
Yes, he maybe should have had, in second thoughts, on what he's doing. He's actually placing his punches, he's putting no weight behind them. He's just putting them on the guy. There's no weight behind them. Maybe he's afraid of these shoulders going out again. I don't know, but there's no power in those punches at all. So the judges, that might have a reflection of the judges' score too.
Okay, now he turns his back quite a lot. He's not here, but he's getting caught again.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Robinson 2 rounds in front.
I have him 2 rounds in front. He's stopping punching when he gets up close. What McMillan should be doing is throwing more punches in the centre of the ring. He's allowing Robinson to steal the fight right out of death.
Round 11. Trying to control ourselves in this last 2 rounds, I tell you. There's so much excitement around us here. Yes, the doctor just had a look there at McMillan. He's got a cut over the right eye and a bit of a mouse coming up.
Well, that was a couple of solid shots here from McMillan. Is he going to stand his ground and put some power into the shots now? I think he has to do that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a death or glory touch now.
Robinson's still got the commitment. We said earlier, Reg, he was the one who would finish strongly. He's done it in his previous 2 world title fights, paced himself perfectly and finished strongly. If he does it again here, McMillan's going to be in trouble.
Minute gone. Just a bit of desperation there, isn't there, at McMillan now?
But he's still sticking to the same tactics, hitting and, hopping out again. He hasn't really changed his tactics, maybe for a few seconds here and there, but he seems to be happy with what he's doing. Still backing off, just flicking out the jab.
Halfway through the round.
See again the commitment coming from Robinson. Standing here, let him go.
Handling the fight well, I think, referee. I know it's not a difficult one for him, but he's doing what he has to do. He's done well. Handy when they haven't got to concentrate on the scoring as well, Jim, the referee. So it's all Steve-O chance now.
This is a bit of the untidiest round. McMillan come back with some better shots in this round. Standing his ground a little bit better.
I've heard such a din like this in many years, really. I mean, maybe it's the enclosed ice rink here that's bouncing, it's cracking the paint on the ceiling, don't you think?
It's a great atmosphere, Reg, and the fight has certainly caught fire the last couple of rounds.
So coming up for the last the words of wisdom and terse orders indeed from both corners. And well, you could have got 5-2 that if Robinson could win on points. It's turned out a good bet by the sound of it, or the look of it. But you know, bookmakers advertise those odds, but when you want to put money down, they want to shorten them a bit. Well, there it is. Barry's got him a couple of points up. Jim?
Yep, I've got Robinson in the front, Reg. The good punches, when he traps McMillan on the ropes and lets the punches go, the good solid shots have always come from him. I don't really like the little flicks McMillan was scoring with in the early rounds. I had him in front after about 4 or 5 rounds, but since then he's persisted with these little flicking leads. And you can't really call them championship punches, and you shouldn't really win world titles backing off for 12 rounds.
Well, what a Cinderella man he's turned out to be, Steve Robinson. Always on the assumption that the judges agree with us here. And the way things have been going lately, particularly the two fights in Texas with Chavez and then the Azuma Nelson fights with draws, and then Ben and Eubank, who knows?
Robinson using his strength now. He's been doing that for the last couple of rounds, and that's what's kind of turned in his favour. For the first time he's been able to use the strength. McMillan not quite as quick on his feet as he was, and Robinson getting a chance to use that strength.
Well, the Neely man is an amateur there, McMillan. What do you have, about 4 cracks at the ABA Championships and couldn't do it, and now having won a world title fight, he didn't want to fight in the other fellow's backyard, but I think let's put it down to Robinson's ability rather than the crowd behind him.
This is a good last round, Reg.
The cracker, isn't it?
Good last round.
He's tried to stand and trade a bit now. He knows that he's got to try and, well, do everything to try and influence those judges, but I think it could be too late. But Jim, I'll be honest with you, I still don't want to stick Nigel out in this fight.
Well, Reg, I like what Robinson's been doing better. I didn't like McMillan's little leads and then dancing around the ring in the first half of the fight. If you want to score points for that, then there's a possibility he could just have nicked it.
No,
I'm going with Robinson.
Yeah, I agree.
The more solid shots, a more workmanlike performance from Robinson.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying is I'm getting a bit nervous because of the previous drawn verdicts we've had in World Championships. There it is all over. The crowd are going crazy there. Well, Guy Gardner carts his man around the ring, and of course the challengers people are doing the same thing too. There's all sorts of professionals here, matchmakers from rival promotions have come to see this one. Well, now, how long they're going to drag this out? Mark Scheckner and John Morris of the Boxing Board of Control together should be able to know what the verdict is very quickly. But nobody won around more than by 1 point, of course. Quick talk to Barry McGuigan while we're waiting.
Well, Barry, you never quite know what judges are going to do, but I think we're all going to be surprised if Robinson hasn't won this one.
Yeah, I have him winning it 117, 115.
2 rounds.
Yeah, I've got him 2 rounds ahead. The last 2 rounds I scored even, funny enough. Maybe the 11th could have gone towards Robinson, but he's won the fight by 2 rounds in my opinion. Well, he stole it at the end. He just outworked McMillan, tired very badly in the last 4 rounds, in particular the last 2 rounds, and Robinson outworked him.
We have a verdict, so Mike Goodall is standing by now to give us the verdict. Let's find out how the 3 judges took it.
Bit of a conversation going on there. Come on, Mike, let's...
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision.
Well, that's a good sign for Robinson, I suspect.
Judge Jean Glenn scores 117, 111.
Oh, what a runaway that one.
Judge Torben Handen scores 116, 113.
That's more like it.
Judge Roy Francis scores 117, 113 in favour of the undefeated WBO featherweight Steve Robinson.
Well, the scoring's a bit big there, Jim, with the American, isn't it? 117 to 111, but...
Not really, Reg. If you don't like what McMillan was doing, these little flicking leads, obviously the judges felt the same as me, don't score for them, so that's where it was, Robinson. But that's good. I'm happy, a good decision.
We were saying that about American judges early on, that they do go for the aggression all the time.
Colin, it didn't work tonight. Did you get the tactics right? Did you need a warm-up fight, looking back on it?
Possibly, I should have had a warm-up maybe. I couldn't, keep working as much as I wanted to, Steve was strong, kept on coming. You know, I fought it very tight. You know, but I'll be back.
So what happens to you now?
Well, you know, take a bit of time off. You know, I think in much respect, just make sure everyone warm up to sharpen up my skills a little bit more. But I thought it was a good performance considering I've been out for a year. You know, but I thought we beat. That's what I meant. You know, very strong, very game.
Do you think it's a fair summary? You didn't get enough power in your punching, and maybe the tactics of staying on the ropes didn't work?
Well, I've been not fought for a year. I don't want to try and burn myself out and let too many big shots go. And you know, he kept on coming, kept on working. I thought I was blocking missing a lot of shots. I don't think that many were connecting. But you know, what do you expect?
You're going to carry on though?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, let's bring in the champ then. You've still got it. Well done, Steve. It's been remarkable what's happened to you since April, and your strength and determination got you through in the end again tonight.
Oh, of course, it was hard work and dedication really. More or less my fitness won the fight, but I put a lot of respect for Colin McMillan. He fought great, and he's a very good boxer, slippery slide. He's hard to catch. I had to cut them down and work hard. It was a very hard fight.
But there were times tonight when you didn't quite look a champion. You weren't getting as many punches off as you should have done, and you did struggle a little bit, especially in the early stages, maybe.
Oh yeah, I found him very hard to catch, you know, because he's a mover, like, you know, and he was very slippery. But I caught up to him after, and my fitness come through.
There aren't too many world champions with as many losses as you. It has been a remarkable story for you, isn't it? I don't think anybody can quite believe it.
Oh yeah, it's great. There's not many champions with 9 defeats, like, you know, but it's great. I want to dedicate this fight to Michael Jason, my father-in-law, who died of a heart attack, and it's dedicated to my son Luke and to all my family and friends.
Right, now what happens now? Paul Hodgkinson to the WBO?
Could be, see what happens. It's up to my manager and my trainer Ronnie.
Okay, it's some atmosphere here in Wales, isn't it? I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens if you went away from Wales. I mean, this really does lift you here, doesn't it?
Oh, of course, it advantages to me, and I like to keep on fighting in Wales because it gives me a lift. It's great.
Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, there we are, Gary Newman getting all the reaction from the ringside there. Steve Robinson, a very decent fella. I must say I had him winning it by 3 rounds as well. McMillan saying he's going to come back. But of course, we just have to wait and see. But Robinson, despite being a world champion, nothing has changed him. I'm sure you can hear a lot of noise still going on behind me here at the National Ice Rink. The cheers for McMillan as he leaves the ring, and of course Robinson will get an even bigger ovation when he goes as well. Well done, Robinson. The title stays here in Wales. There's a huge night of boxing coming up here on ITV in a couple of weeks' time when Riddick Bowe defends his world title against Evander Holyfield. The fighter taking place in Las Vegas, and it really is the highlight of a great night of boxing here on ITV. Last time we saw Riddick Bowe, he outclassed Jesse Ferguson and blasted him away in the very first round.
I beat Evander Holyfield to become the heavyweight champion in the world. Watch me beat him again on November 6th on ITV.
Indeed, you can watch him. Riddick Bowe against Evander Holyfield right through the night in the early hours of November the 7th. And of course, if you don't fancy getting up at that time, you can watch it on a more civilized hour the day after. Don't forget to put your clocks back. Robinson got his timing exactly right. Good night.